Let's talk about Sibanye, which owns and operates gold mines. It's expanding into the platinum sector, and of course the big news, it bought Stillwater in the US. Market cap here 14.6 billion rand, a PE of 5.8 and a dividend yield of 9.2.
Yeah,
so let's get Joseph to comment first, because I think we've discussed
get our head around this
Sibanye with you previously.
Certainly we have, and obviously their entry into the US with Stillwater is a massive kind of deal breaker, if you want to put it that way, for them in terms of scaling, in terms of diversifying from Africa risk, if I may put it that way, in particular the Africa risk. So that's good for them. But I think if you just look at the dividend yield, 9% higher than our upper target in inflation, that's perfect. Also the PE is looking quite attractive. So if all the acquisition hurdles are done properly with Stillwater, I think it's a fantastic stock.
Let's talk about this 9% dividend yield, because that must be among the highest dividend yields.
Yeah, but I think it's going to go to zero because they had to raise all this money to buy Stillwater. Yep. So the strong cash flows from the gold mining operations at Kloof and Driefontein, I think, are going to just go towards paying the entry into all these other things.
Let's look at the share price graph.
So it's had a rough time. It got somewhat beaten up in the rights issue as well. It was as high as 25, 26. We only bought them recently here in the 2017 period, so we're not worried about them having been at 45
No,
rand.
and it was a big push from my side.
Yep. And I quite like the idea. It's a really bold move. The platinum price, though, itself has looked quite weak. The dollar has been quite strong, and now, I don't know, that's sort of somewhat helpful to them because it'll puff up their local rand margins.
Do you hold Sibanye in client portfolios?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
And you've called it from a timing perspective. Obviously now the uncertainty has seen a somewhat depressed share price, relatively speaking. But the upside, you think that this is a game changer, the Stillwater acquisition, which is what you were saying earlier.
Certainly. I think there is massive upside. I mean, if we just come from what Paul said, this is down about 70, 60% down from its peak, trading around the 15 rand per share. So it has basically massive opportunity. As long as they can bed down that deal properly, I think the room for growth is massive.
Are there concerns that they won't be able to bed down the deal?
No, I think they've already done the funding and the financing, and so they got the following that they needed. Stillwater itself is a good business. It's a different kind of ore body, but it's very well managed, using lots of technology and a relatively small number of people.
So you've got to back Neil Froneman, and what he's done on the local environment.
And also, I think he's going to do his magic tricks on the platinum assets that they've bought, in the same way that he already showed how they can operate in a different model with the gold stuff. Look, I think it's going to be risky. One of the big risks to this is if the platinum price goes much lower, amidst some of this noise about whether the internal combustion engine is on its way out, because that's of course where the platinum goes. So we'll have to see. I mean,
autocatalytic converters.
I'm optimistic that the timing will prove to be good, because the economy will drive higher car sales, which will drive more platinum sales, which should push up the platinum price.
Well, it sounds as though, despite the risks, it's worth taking a real bet on Sibanye.
No, certainly. I think at these levels, it's worth taking it. If you did not get it, it's slightly lower than where a lot of people went in, around 25 rand.
So you can pick it up at 15 rand
certainly,
now.
Yep.
Maybe we get some more.
We're fully invested, and we have actually more of Sibanye than we would ordinarily allocate to a moonshot, because there were some issues, there were some ShopRite shares that we were selling and so on and so forth. So we're
we've got
actually
enough, in other words,
there at about a 6-7%, and as we were discussing earlier, in this size of portfolio, maybe 3-4 would have been more sensible.
On Sibanye, Joseph?
I'll be hot on Sibanye.
Paul, hot.
Yep, I think it's well chosen, and it's the only commodity stock we have there, so I think we've got to have a little bit of a foot in that.
And that potential, as you say, down 70%, 60-70% from its highs, that would be great.
Very little new platinum coming to the market globally, so if it tightens the supply-demand balance,
then the price is going to go up.
Hopefully.